This is the last extension. And what we're doing in this one is we're going to solve by graphing. We're going to graph this side and this side separately. So like I'm going to graph y equals -5 and y equals 2x minus 1. Graph those separately and see where they cross. So, and then after that I'm going to solve it what we call algebraically by isolating x. So if we do this, we have a y-intercept of -1, so I'm going to go there. A slope of 2, so I'll go up 2 over 1, like this. And I can continue the slope, and I've got this line. That's this one. Y equals -5, I go down to -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put a dot, and I cut straight across. Now what I want to know is where do these cross? They cross right there, and I want to know the x value there. Well, it's -2 is the x value, so x equals -2. So that's solving by graphing. Now we should get the same results if we solve by isolation. So I've got 2x minus 1 equals -5. We know that if I add 5 to both sides, that I can get the 2x by itself. So I'm going to, or excuse me, add 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I get 2x equals -4. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get x equals -2. So these two answers should always be the same on this whole paper. When you do B, you're going to want to graph this one. So y equals 4, graph that, and also graph the other side. Y equals x plus 2. See where they cross, solve by isolation. It gets a little more interesting when we start to do some of our V shapes and U shapes. So this one, y equals 3, that's going to be a straight line across, and this is going to be a V shape. So y equals 3 goes right there. This is the absolute value down 2, so I go down 2 and then make my absolute value. So this has two answers, 1, 2. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so x equals 5 is one answer, but also 1, 2, 3, 4, -5. All right, so let's solve that by isolation just to make sure it makes sense. So I've got absolute value of x minus 2 equals 3. So the first thing you want to do is add 2 to both sides. And we're left with the statement the absolute value of x must equal 5. Well, what numbers have an absolute value of 5? Well, x equals 5 and x equals -5. So notice the same answer. All right, down here, let's do a kind of a harder one. Let's do f. So I'm going to graph this. And this. So y equals 4 goes across. This is a U shape to the left 3, so I'll go left 3, U shape. And I can see I get two answers again, -1 and -5. So if I solve this by isolation, first thing you want to do is isolate the squaring, which it is. So like when you do this one over here, you're going to want to first add 4 to both sides down here. But now we have to undo squaring. Well, to undo squaring, I would square root. So the square root of this is x plus 3. But the square root of 4 is 2, but there's actually two numbers that if I squared, so x plus 3 could equal two different things. X plus 3 could equal 2, because 2 squared is 4. And then if I solve that, I'd get -1. But x plus 3 could also be -2, because -2 squared is 4. So x plus 3 could also equal -2. Now if I subtract 3 from that, I get my other answer. So again, x plus 3, this thing inside could either be a 2 or a negative 2, and squared to be 4. Let's do one more, maybe maybe I'll do b up here. Okay, these are a little harder. So first of all, y equals negative 4, so I go down to negative 4. And maybe try this one. Maybe pause the video, try this, and see if you can do it correctly first yourself. This is going to be left 2 up 4, left 2 up 4. It's going to be flipped and stretched by 2. Okay, so we can see we have two answers. X equals negative 6, x equals 2. Okay, now if we were to solve this, so we have to isolate the absolute value first, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, so I get negative 8. Then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Then I ask myself, well, what could x plus 2 be? It has to have an absolute value of 4. Well, there's two numbers that have an absolute value of 4, 4 and negative 4. So x plus 2 could equal 4, but x plus 2 could also equal negative 4. So if I subtract 2 from this, I get x equals 2. Subtract 2 from that, x equals negative 6. Notice that those are the two answers above. See if you can finish the rest of this extension.